day of February, or not the first day. Hold on, backtrack. The first live of February. There you go. Now, to get right into it, we have three topics. One, we're going to be reading the Bible, having a Bible talk. Two, I have what posting for almost a year consistently taught me. Guys, either the 27th or the 28th of this month would have been a year since I've been posting on social media consistently. For a year. Most people don't even get to this point. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I learned from it. Number three, we're going to be talking about how I feel about college. Now, let's go ahead and get into the Bible talk. Guys, if you don't know me or you haven't been following me, I've said this plenty of times, but I'm reading from the first page of the Bible, from Genesis all the way to Revelation without skipping a page. I haven't skipped a page and I won't. Now, this may take me 2 to 3 years to finish based on how much I read in a day and how much stories there are in the Bible. Right now we're on Genesis chapter 32, actually. We're almost on 33. We're almost in Exodus. However, it's going to be a long journey, and I will let you guys and girls know when I'm done with the book. All right, let's get started though. We're on Genesis chapter 32, verse 9. It says, "Then Jacob prayed, 'O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you who said to me, go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper. He is unworthy of all kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. He only had his staff when he crossed this Jordan, but now he hath become 2 camps. Save him,' he prayed, 'from the hand of his brother Esau, for he is afraid he will come and attack him. And also the mothers with their children. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper, and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted.'" We're on Genesis chapter 32, verse 13. It says, "He spent the night there, and from what he had with him, he selected a gift for his brother Esau." What's good, Mr. Beats? It says 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, and 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. Okay, they were going insane in the Bible. What is going on? Yo, what's good? What's good, everybody? They were going insane with the animals. It says, "He put them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself, and said to his servants, go ahead of me and keep some space between the herds. He instructed the one in the lead. When my brother Esau meets you and asks, 'Who do you belong to and where are you going? And who owns all these animals in front of you?' Then you are to say, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a gift sent to my lord Esau, and he is coming behind us.'" You said, what? You are the only one here? What is that? What does that got to do with me reading? Hold on, let me fix this real quick. Okay. Yeah, that has nothing to do with me reading. If you're the only one here, it doesn't matter. The message still has to get out there. You want to know what's crazy? You guys need to actually practice this. If there's no one in the live, you should be speaking. You should still be speaking. But in order to do that, you have to rewire your brain, right? You have to rewire your habits. If you are focused on short-term gratification, you're going to need views. You're going to need the likes. If there's no one in your chat, to you, it's awkward. It's weird. It's like, why am I talking in the void and there's no one there? To people who seriously want to make it and seriously want to have an impact, they will talk regardless. All right. It says, he also instructed the second, the third, and all the others who followed the herds. You are to say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say, your servant Jacob is coming behind us, for he thought, I will pacify him with these gifts I am sending on ahead later. Guys, I actually recommend when you read that you highlight as well. Highlight anything that stands out, highlight anything that's important. And yeah, it makes learning a lot easier when you can highlight, because for some reason it's more visual, especially if you're a visual learner. You'll be able to say, okay, you'll be able to go back and assess, which is why you have to highlight. What are you reading? Just got here. Oh, we're reading the Bible. Oh, I was on TikTok, right? And speaking of reading the Bible, I know many people, they start with the Gospel of John, the Gospel of Matthew, and they start with these books. I've decided to do a challenge I haven't heard a lot of people do, which is reading all the way from the beginning, which is Genesis, to Revelation without skipping a page. Just to know everything. Then after that, I have to get a Quran. Now, I know most people will be confused and be like, how are you going to read the Bible and then have a Quran? However, if I want to debate Muslims, how am I supposed to debate professionally and competently without understanding where they get their worldviews and their points from? It wouldn't make any sense. If I only know the knowledge of the Bible, but I don't know the knowledge of the Quran, then I can't sit here and debate a Muslim. It wouldn't make any sense. That means I wouldn't be debating the Muslim logically. I would be debating from my own understanding. This is what a lot of Muslims do. They'll selectively pick verses from the Bible that supports their claim. However, if you're only going to pick that one verse and ignore the rest of the context, then it's not a true logical debate, is it? If I was to sit here and read the Quran and pick one verse that supports my claim and ignore all the other context, Muslims would call me out for it. 9 times out of 10, they'd be like, wait, but this verse says this chapter says this. It's the same thing that Christians can do. It says, later when he sees him, perhaps he will receive me. So Jacob's gifts went on ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. And the next chapter is Jacob wrestles with God. And I've heard the story before plenty of times. We'll go ahead and read. We'll read a little bit of it, a little bit. It says, that night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, let me go, for it is daybreak. Now we're going to stop right there. This is where it really gets interesting. We'll stop right there, though. And we're almost on chapter 33 already. Goodness gracious. All right. Guys, they were going on so much missions in the Bible. It's crazy. Like, many people think that following God is passive, when it's completely and utterly the opposite. It is proactive. It's active. You must be doing stuff. You have to believe. But at the same time, you must correlate your action to align with that belief. Now, this is topic 2. We're going to be talking about what posting for almost a year consistently taught me. So, guys, I first started posting, and I can tell you a little bit of the story. I first started posting last year. It was February 27th of 2025. I remember before I made a video that day, I was scrolling on YouTube, and I saw one person say, start your personal brand. Start. It doesn't matter where you are, just start it. Because there isn't a such thing as a perfect time. There is no perfect condition. Therefore, I said, you know what? I might as well start. The reason why is because if you don't start and you are complaining, well, then that makes no sense. You can't sit here and complain and go, oh my gosh, you don't have the life that you want, when you didn't try, when you didn't even attempt to do something. Therefore, I said, I'm going to post. And if you go back to that first video, I said, I'm going to be consistent. And I was not lying. I was very, very consistent. Now, one thing I've learned is that, and we've all heard this plenty of times, but it's so true because I've actually done the work. You have to be able to delay gratification. Delayed gratification, if you can do the inner work and master and acquire this, oh my gosh, it makes the rest of your life easy. It makes the rest of your life and existence way much easier. You have to be able to be patient strategically. There is two different types of being patient. There's the passivity of patience and there's strategic patience. The passivity of patience is you saying that you're patient, but there isn't a reason, there isn't a structure behind the reason why you are patient. Then there's the strategical patience where you are waiting for a specific reason. If someone was to come up to you and say, why are you being patient? You would be able to intentionally and deliberately tell them the exact reason why you're being patient. That is the difference between not having a reason for your waiting as opposed to having one. Another thing that it taught me is don't care what people say. Stick to your lane, which I talked about this on my last live. I talked about why you should stay in your lane regardless of distractions. And this goes to my point of what I learned of almost posting for a year consistently on social media. You cannot care what people have to say. You can't. You're not going to make it if you genuinely care what people say. It's going to be hard at first. It is. It's going to be hard because there's always people out there saying mean things. However, eventually, once you understand that no matter what you do, people will talk, you can finally lose that fear of judgment and execute on whatever you want to do. As long as it's legal, of course. Don't take this out of context. If you want to be an astronaut, go do it. If you want to study and be a doctor, go do it. People are going to talk regardless. The question is, what do you want them to talk about? I said this on another live. If you are a doctor and people talk about you about being, oh, you're a doctor, at least they're talking about you being a doctor. At least you chose what they are able to talk about. That's the game. Those are the two main things that posting for almost a year consistently taught me. You must delay gratification. Don't care what people say. I'll even add a third one. If you want to make it with this, you have to treat this seriously. Now, I know people hear that and go, yeah, you have to treat it seriously. No. You have to genuinely, intentionally, deliberately lock in. You have to be disciplined. You have to do the repetitive work. And I tweeted this a few hours ago. I said, you have to be disciplined. It's going to be repetitive some days. It's going to be boring some days. You're not going to have novelty every second. You're not going to have this magical hit of dopamine when you're doing your routine. You're going to have to be disciplined, even if it's boring, because this is the work that compounds over time. It is exactly like a investment account. When you are investing at first, it's boring. It compounds silently, but it's boring. You just do the same thing. There's no dopamine hit. However, in the future, in the long run, when you have all this money saved and invested, it's worth it. That's you trading the short-term comfort and the short-term gratification for long-term wealth and long-term growth. So you get the pick. It's a choice. Also, the third and last topic for today, how I feel about college. Guys, this is how I feel about it. I was debating my older brother the other day about it, and I said, college is useful, guys. If you genuinely want to be a doctor, a nurse, and it requires college, then you should go to college. However, we are in a generation, and I know most old heads or most people older than us don't understand this. However, we are in a pivotal moment on earth where you don't solely need college to succeed. You have streaming, you have rappers, you have people who got a trade. There's many things to do. I was telling him you could get certifications online to get a career. And he was saying, nah, online is BS, it's nonsense. No, it's not. One, you haven't even tried online. Number two, if you understand where we're at in 2026, online is definitely a big help. Online is great. You should be using online to your advantage, depending on what you want to do. College isn't solely the way. Also, if we want to say that college isn't, or college is the way, well, then we have to accept this. You going to college is not guaranteed that you're going to get a job afterwards. If you analyze and assess what is going on in today's economy, you'll see that many people have degrees, many people have scholarships, many people finished college, many people did every single thing that they were supposed to do, and they still don't have a job. We have to talk about this, because if they did all that and they wasn't able to get a career, well, then we must be careful of what career that we pick if we do decide to go to college. We have to be very careful, very intentional, and very precise. Also, the main reason of going to college is to be successful after, when you're done. It's not mainly to have fun. Now, I'm not saying to be one of these monk mode kids or monk mode adults and be locked up at your house. No, have fun, definitely. However, that should not be the primary reason you're going to college. What happens is, if you focus more on fun as opposed to your career, when you get to the end of your 4-year college journey or 10-year college journey, you go, oh, shoot, you should have had that internship earlier, or you should have did so many things earlier, as opposed to focusing on them now. That's what happens. Time doesn't wait for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're grinding or if you're doom scrolling. Time isn't going to wait. You have to do this stuff now. If you front load responsibility now, this will ensure that your future can be more manageable. I'm not saying it's going to be more easier, because adulthood and you living in the adult life after college is going to be hard. However, it can be more manageable if you front load your responsibility now. However, most people 19, 20, 21 around my age are more focused on clubbing, drinking, which is not a problem if they want to do that. Never force someone to change their habits. However, they will eventually, if they want to improve, they will come to the conclusion like, dang, they wasted so much time, as opposed to locking in. That's how I feel about college, guys. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and end right here, guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Be blessed. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.